Okay, my original opinion of this deck was, if you play it, you're stupid. And it's still really close to that. I hate to say it, this is not the deck I wished it was. I'm a big fan of mono green, always have been. This just does not cut the cheese. You're an aggressive deck, this is not what you want to be playing. You have a better version of this called Garruk's Champion, and you have these on turn 2 that you want to be doing as well. 2/2s or a 3/2 Trampler. I think I'll take the 3/2 Trampler. This, I was teetering with. This has to equip a creature, or it has to be enchanted onto a creature, and that creature has to die. It can't be bounced. It can't be destroyed before this hits. So this is a very situational card. There's not a lot of things that I would put it on. That's why it's not in the deck. This is obviously one of the most important cards in the deck because it lets you mana excel up quickly. Borderland Ranger. I really did not want to play Borderland Ranger. I feel like there's a better one. I think there's an elf that puts a land or puts a forest into the battlefield. But we kind of have to deal with the cards that we're given. Right here, this card's terrible for you. It does let you pay. You pay 3, you can play an extra land. If you have an extra land, you're playing 24, which is very low for the type of deck that Garruk is playing. But if you draw, you're letting your opponent draw an additional card and then play 2 lands. They are now, if you didn't go first, they are now 2 lands ahead of you. That is a bad situation to be in. This is a 3/3 for 3, and he activates off of Garruk's Pack Leader's ability. Beast Hunt, I took out 1 because we got the Lead the Stampedes, which are obviously better. But I left 1 in there just in case, you know, the scenarios where I need it. Too many people play Kiora's deck. Never play the Hunted Wumpus. Unless you know your opponent is playing a deck like Chandra's deck. Well, I wouldn't play it, period, in this format. I was just saying, unless you're playing a deck like Chandra's deck, but then he's just going to drop an Inferno Titan on your face. Do not play Hunted Wumpus. I realize he is a very intimidating card. He's a 4-mana, 6/6. Just does not make the cut for the deck. You know, there are too many things. This guy, this Tree Folk right here, he's amazing. He is amazing, amazing, amazing. Number of force you control. Please, you're playing a mono green deck. He's a 3/3 for 3. The turn he comes out, that cannot be targeted by spells or abilities your opponents control. And these guys gain you life every time you play a land. They're great. Lead the Stampede. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You can reveal any number of creature cards from among them and put them in your hand, the rest on the bottom of your library. In any order. Of course, it doesn't let you pick orders, but that's okay. Leatherback Baloth, 4/5 for 3 mana. Please, we have to play that. There's the 1 Beast Hunt. Cludgel Trolls are amazing. All the trolls are amazing. They have way too... They say you have a hard time dealing with me. Giant Spider. He's a good way to block flyers for a little bit. And he's got a big butt on him, so he can block a lot of things. Any number of target players each gain 6 life. If you're playing a lot of Arch Enemy, this is a great card for you, because you can go, I'm going to gain 6, and my 2 teammates each are going to gain 6. When you're paying 4 mana to gain 6 yourself, not good. Serrated Arrows. Enters the battlefield with 3 counters on it. Tap, remove a counter, put a -1/-1 counter on target creature. That's really good. It really helps you. The deck has no removal, other than the fact that you can swing in and be like, oh, Giant Growth, kill your creature, if they make bad blocks. But most of the time, if you're swinging with a creature that's smaller than their creature, they're going to be like, oh, well, he's got Giant Growth, I'm not going to do that. So this gives you the opportunity to be like, I can deal with a few of your creatures, or I can make your creatures reasonable again. You know, it can kill an Elvish Piper, or things like that. Things that are important. Trolls are amazing. He can't be countered, so he's amazing against Jace. He's hexproof, and he regenerates. Awesome. For 4 mana. 4/4. That is awesome. I did take out, I think, 1 Stomper Cove, just because I couldn't find anything else to take out, and he's a 5/3. He dies really easily. He can get in for a little bit of damage, but he dies really easy. Wolfbriar Elemental. Late game, he's amazing. There's one in the deck. You I would not keep an opening hand with him, like unless you were just playing around or kind of showing off things. But he's best drawn later on in the game when you have 10 lands out and you're gonna go, oh, we'll tap 10 and put out 6 2/2 wolf creatures. That's good. That's good card advantage right there. You know, I said it's a good thing to have card advantage. Well, unless their opponent's playing a Maelstrom Pulse, they now have to deal with 6 2/2 elves or 2/2 wolves. This guy lets you draw cards. He's super important. Whenever you play a creature power 3 or greater, you draw a card. Or whenever a creature enters the battlefield, it's not when you play it. Overrun. A lot of times this deck comes down to Overrun. It's a good idea to keep hands with Overrun if you can manage them. Because a lot of times it goes to, I'm going to play a creature, you're going to play a creature, I'm going to play a creature, you're going to play a creature, I'm going to play a creature, you're going to play a creature, and do that for 10 turns, and then you're like, okay, well, we're at this really awkward stalemate where I've got really big creatures, you've got really big creatures, but none of us can advance because our creatures are like about the same power. You know, we're going to evenly be trading creatures, and it's just not a good situation for us. So Overrun lets you do that. Like I said, the Somber Cub, he's so-so, but he's definitely better than these guys, because these guys don't have trample. They just say I get chump blocked all day. And this guy, 6 mana, once again, equal to the number of cards in all players' hand. Your opponent, as soon as he hits the field, is not going to be keeping cards in their hand any longer. Unless your opponent was mana screwed and has like 6 cards in their hand, which in most cases you've already won. And as soon as your opponent goes down to 0 cards, you're going to be at 7 if you're holding all lands. And he's going to be a 7/7 for 6 mana with Shroud. That's really not that good. I'd rather have this 8/8 for 6 with Trample. Or this 7/7 that says every time I block or become blocked, I destroy a creature and I gain life. He cannot be killed by creatures. He's amazing. He's amazing. And this guy just says, oh, hey, you tapped all your creatures. I'm going to pay 7 and swing 8 at your face. Oh, and by the way, I can Giant Growth if I need to. But I think that was everything, right? Yep, that was everything. So let's go ahead and take a look at Gideon's deck real quick. Gideon's deck. This is the one I probably showed off the most. I don't see a point to play 4 of these guys. They don't get any additional abilities when equipped. And they're good. But you've got 3 of them already. You got the Core Duelist, who's better as a 1-drop. And these guys who are 2/2s for 2 mana. Once again, if you want my opinion, go look at the Sarkhan's thing. And again, these guys, there's better ones than these. This guy's a 2/2 for 2 that when he's equipped has First Strike and Lifelink. And this guy's a 1/2 for 2 that's now banned from Standard because of how powerful he is. I feel like this card does not need to be in because I don't think I'm playing the Augment. Oh no, I am playing the Armor. He's good with the Armor, but that's about it. There really aren't enough equipment cards that I would be like, wow, I really need to be playing him just so I can equip. You don't play enough equipment cards for him to be relevant, or you don't have a way to get them enough that he's going to be relevant. Destroy an artifact or enchantment. Again, if you know what your opponent's playing, it might be a good card, but other than that, probably not. +1/+1 in haste. We have enough equipment that's better than this. Congregate. It's 2 life for each creature on the battlefield. Again, it's one of those things that you got to be really far behind. There's got to be a lot of creatures on the battlefield. They've all got to be power or toughness 1, or power 1 or less for you to actually come out ahead because of this card. If there's a whole bunch of creatures and their power is 2 or greater, you're going to be like, I gain 6 and I take 12 next turn. Sweet, I'm glad I tapped out. And I feel like Seer Angel didn't make the cut. Flying Vigilance for 4, but I feel like, you know, your big things are I mean, she probably shouldn't be in there, but she's pretty, she's big, and if you're at an distinct advantage, you can get all your creatures +3/+0, or if you need to be defensive, you can say, I mean, it really doesn't help you, I guess, if your opponent's going to go war, but if you have more creatures and you need bigger butts on your creatures, you can do that. I mean, it's just kind of a finalizing card that says I'm going to win the game and this is going to help me achieve that because I've got more creatures than you and I can choose war and they're going to be bigger. And this guy lets you get those more creatures out. This is obviously stupid if it's good, it's equipped, so it's just a good idea to have one in the deck. Conqueror's Pledge, late game, put out 12 tokens for 11 mana. Yeah, that's a good card. Baneslayer, of course it's a good card. This one, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn by attacking creatures. That's amazing in a deck like this. Your opponent swings all out, you can block, harmless assault, and none of your creatures die, but theirs still do. Sword of War and Peace is obviously very good. Protects from red and white. Deals damage, number of cards in the player's hand, and you gain life equal to the number of cards in your hand. More creatures you get out, the bigger they get with this guy. This guy taps a creature and keeps it tapped the following turn. It's a good idea. Whenever a creature is tapped, you put a +1/+1 counter on him. That's good. Arrest is your kill card. And then obviously, you know, all the equipments and stuff. You got a lot of low-cost cards, but you also got a lot of power cards later on. And you can just make creatures bigger, better. And I mean, Lawmaker is amazing. You never want to lose the Lawmaker. And Brave the Elements is just kind of the counter. If someone goes, oh, let's go Urge Defeat on your Lawmaker, and you can go Brave the Elements, Protection from Black, and it live. So, I mean, there's other builds of the deck. I'm sure that someone likes the Seer Angels, or someone wants the Core Outfitters in there. I mean, that's the nice thing about Magic, is you can make your own deck and play with it. You know, like I said, I would rather have all these creatures out here. And actually, you know what? I lied. These guys should not be in here, because these guys should be. I'm going to switch this up real quick, now that I've been thinking about it. Let's get rid of those. And that. Because, like I said, no, you know what? That card is going to stay in there, because I don't like the Seer Angel. I love Seer Angel, but just not in here. You have so many tokens that you should have a card advantage, and this one can actually finalize and win it for you, like I said. But these guys are 2/2s for 2 mana in a mono white deck. I don't know why these guys were in here. There's probably another glitch. I had one weird glitch the other day that mixed up a whole bunch of decks. But yeah, that's why those should be in there. I mean, I'm sorry I said that should be backwards, but obviously a 2/2 with no abilities, a 2/2 with the I'm going to attach an equipment is better. But this is a very solid deck. This is a very good deck. You're going to win a lot of games with it. It plays 24 lands, which gets you a lot more cards than a lot of the other decks do, and you really don't need the mana until, I mean, you have a few late game cards, and like, be very wary keeping hands with something like this or this in your opening hand, because these cards are, this card obviously can't be played until the late game, but this card's better played in the late game. If you know what your opponent's doing and know that he doesn't have mass board wipe, it might be a good idea to keep a hand with him. But, you know, just kind of be cautious. That's my advice to you there. Let's go ahead and save and quit there. And last but not least, Jace.